Yeah, I speak very loudly anyway, so I normally don't ever use a microphone. Okay, I think we've 1 minute to go. I think we can start, you know? Okay, so this, this workshop was sprung on me just at the end of last week. In our work nowadays in lecturing, you must have a little bit of agility. You must think on your feet, etc. This is how the job will be. It is already the job for many of you, but this is how the job will evolve. Just can I ask, how many people are lecturers? Just put up your hands. And then how many people are students? Yeah. And then how many people are neither lecturers nor students? Maybe administrators? What kind of roles are you? Quality assurance? What else? Academic affairs? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of context just from where I am coming from and what my perspective is. I come from Ireland and we joined the Bologna process, I think it was over 12 years ago. I am from an institute of technology, a very small institute of technology in Dublin. We have 2,500 students. It's the same size, as some of your classes, you know, etc. But we have 2,500 students, and we specialise in really niche, highly differentiated areas like film and media, animation. I'm an animator. We do production design for TV, 3D design, graphic design, etc., etc. But we also do psychology. We do computer sciences, things that some of you will be more familiar with. So we're not totally crazy, okay? Just, you know, because you're saying, oh my God, this guy, he's a filmmaker. What does he know? And what do I know? You know, what do I know? Again, I have been a filmmaker all my life, and I kept being asked to lecture. You must come and lecture. No, too busy, okay? But eventually, I ended up, 18 years ago, starting my lecturing career. And as Ruben said several times this morning, a lot of it was about knowledge, transfer of knowledge. You know, I would go in, students would questions, I would spend an hour and a half with them, I would answer all the questions. No more questions? Cool. And then I would come back next week. More questions, I would answer questions, etc., etc. So it was very, I think, it was cool, but it was very unsophisticated. I wasn't taught how to lecture. I had very little qualifications at all, but I was in this role. So we did that, but around, again, just after the turn of the century, we, again, 2004-05, something like that, we joined Bologna. And we have 14 institutes of technology, we have many universities as well, but our government decided that our institutes of technology would convert everything to Bologna standards in 1 year. And that includes the reviews. You would redesign your program and it would be reviewed, everything done in 1 year. There was no help for us, okay? There was no websites, very little resources, no experts came to us, there was no Temples Online project to help us, nothing. We had some documentation, some people had read some books, and we went ahead. And we made millions of mistakes. But the crucial thing was this. In Ireland, we have a very, very unusual system. And the system is called self-accreditation. And it means that every institute, every university every college in Ireland is wholly responsible for the accreditation of each of its programs. We have an agency called QQI, but they just guide the process, they facilitate the process. Sometimes they do work on templates. They make sure that the process is correct and that you conform to a very familiar peer review process, etc., with international experts, with employers, representatives, etc. But fundamentally, each institute and each program is responsible for the accreditation, the monitoring, the evaluation of its own program. So we have very much autonomy. Now, autonomy is cool because it brings a lot of freedom, but it also brings big responsibility. And this is a crucial difference between Ireland and more or less anywhere else, is that self-accreditation means that every lecturer is responsible for quality assurance in some way, shape or form, and is responsible for the quality of their programs, learning, teaching and assessment. Now, the thing is, of course, most lecturers just want to lecture. They don't really want to do a lot of administration as they see it, okay? But they want to do their job. There are some crazy people like me who are interested in the subject, and I then will learn more about it. I will do international work, I will do peer reviews abroad, I will do peer reviews in Ireland, etc. And the reason we do that work is just to learn more and more about the process, how it works, and to learn from you people. You are in a very different situation in Armenia. We have friends here from, maybe they've gone because of no air, but we have friends here from Ukraine, and we have friends here from Russia, etc. Again, everyone is in a very different situation, and it's up to you people, your government, your ministry, your agency, etc., to evolve the situation that suits you and that suits Armenia, okay? We can advise you on that. We can tell you what is familiar to us and what is not familiar to us, but we are not going to tell you, how to do this or why you should do this. We'll advise, but we're not going to say there is a way to do this. We're looking forward to the time in 5 years' time or 10 years' time when we can come to Armenia and we can say, oh my God, look at the way they assess. Why didn't we think of that? It's genius, etc. And we will take those lessons back to Ireland to improve the outcomes for our students, okay? So, what I'm going to do is, I have, I think, 6 slides, okay? So you're going, oh my God, he's going to be like this, he's going to talk the whole time, but I'm not, okay? What I'm going to do is, even though we're in a very small room, what I propose is that this is going to be a very real workshop, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose the format, okay, with your agreement, and then I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to each time give you time to cluster into threes, just talk with the person beside you, whatever. What's the story about this question? What might you do? And then we'll write down the answers, and then I'll go through some answers that I also have thought of. Hopefully your answers will be reflected in my answers, etc. Hopefully some of your answers I won't have, okay? I will learn immediately. So, what I'm going to do is review of academic programs. So, yeah, this is the title I was given. And by the way, the title in the what you call it, I think the title I was supposed to be doing is Christine's one, okay? So, sorry if you're in the wrong lecture, okay? Sorry if you're in the wrong workshop. Oh no, not this guy. Okay, but this guy is doing the review of academic programs in the context of enhancing students' assessment. I didn't write the title, but we'll do this. So, the review of academic programs, okay, review of academic programs, and then enhancing students' assessment, okay? So, what I'm going to do is, we're going to go through these. When might such a review of academic programs happen? Okay, simple question. I'm going to go through who might be responsible for such reviews, who might be involved in such a review, or reviews, how might such a review be best conducted? You know, what might such a review look like, okay? And then especially review in order to enhance students' assessment, okay? Because again, this may be unfamiliar to some of you. How many of you are familiar with the Bologna process and the Bologna system? What I'm talking about specifically now, learner-centered education.
I think everyone is.
Everybody, okay, now that's a bold statement there. That's a bold statement. No, that's cool. That's I'm glad. Okay, but now is it theoretically or is it practically? Both. Okay, so many of you or all of you would fancy. Look, we're doing this. We might not be doing what David is doing in terms of review. That's crazy. Okay, but we are doing learner-centered education. Okay, yes. Is everybody?
Excuse me, when you are asking for learner-centered, do you mean some department or what?
No.
Or
Very good question. A very good question. In our term, learner-centered education is the whole thing.
Yeah, this is idea, learner.
Exactly. Everything. Quality assurance, the programs, assessment, resources, everything must be learner-centered. The reason is, of course, if it's not learner-centered, why are we here? If there are no students, I mean, I know there are many lecturers in my small college who love the summertime because there are no students there, it's lovely and quiet, the library is empty, no smelly kids around, etc., etc. You know, everything runs efficiently, there are much fewer emails, etc. You can get some reading done, you can do a little bit of training, it's cool, okay? But kind of, that's not a university, okay? We need the students. Now, what about learning outcomes? Is everybody familiar with this, learning outcomes? I've seen some people go, I'm not really. Everybody is.
Yeah, we're familiar.
Yes, okay. You've done a few years or something of learning outcomes.
This is something new for us, but
Yeah.
everybody now is
Yeah.
this way.
Well, believe me, we've been doing it for 14 years and it's still new to us. You know, we're still learning every day. What about then what we would call constructive alignment? You know, very simply, assessing, using criteria, assessing what your learning outcomes are proposing. You're familiar with that as well? I mean, you know, somewhat theoretically maybe, but no, we're good. So what I'm going to do is ask the first question. You've got a program. I don't care what. Now, people in QA can kind of say, "Wow, we've got lots of programs." Okay, but no. You have a program hat on, and the lecturers can say as well, "Okay, we have a program." It's usually a very, very good program. Okay. But in the context of review, when might the review of your program happen? Okay? So when might you put your review hat on? Okay? So take a couple of minutes and just discuss this, okay? I'll give you until like 1:45 or so by this clock, okay? So in twos or whatever, just say, you know, Christoph can't talk about this because he already knows the answers already. When might such a review? No, you can't, go on. When might such a review happen, okay? And there are no stupid answers here, there's nothing, okay? I'm not saying, do not be worried about making a mistake or anything like this, okay? There are no silly answers, there are no, you know, I want to learn from this too, okay?
Excuse me.
Yeah, question, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I will say, you know, what did you say, what did you think, etc. Okay, and if anybody has another answer that we don't have, we will take that, okay? So I'll give you 5 minutes, okay? Okay?
Խնդիրը քննարկեցինք արվեստի հաստատությունները, գեղարվեստի ակադեմիան և երաժշտական մասնագիտական կրթական հաստատությունները, եւ Մարտիրոսյանն եմ Բավաջանյան քոլեջից։ Առհասարակ Շրջական ծրագրերը վերանայվում են մի շարք պարագաներում, երբ դրանք արդեն արձանագրվում է, որ արդյունավետություն չեն կարող ապահովել, եւ կամ այլ դեպքում, երկու երաժշտական դեպքեր նշեմ, երբ դրանք կիրառելի չեն որոշակի մակարդակի աբիտուրիենտների դեպքի համար։ Եվ հիմնական այս երկու պահանջներն են, բայց ես մեկ այլ խնդիր կուզենայի նշել։ Մենք անընդհատ խոսում ենք.
But it doesn't work. But when? How often?
Ես ենթադրում եմ, որ դա պիտի լինի նախ յուրաքանչյուր դասի շրջանակներում, այնուհետև յուրաքանչյուր տարվա շրջանակներում, իսամյակի շրջանակներում եւ արդեն ցիկլի։ Այսինքն դա անընդհատ process է եւ փուլային process է։ Իմ պատկերացած գոնե այդպես է։
Yeah.
Յուրաքանչյուր process անընդհատ գնահատում է ենթադրում, մենք մեր ամեն խոսք ասելիս գնահատում ենք իրականացնում։
Cool. That's great. Yeah, that's it. So again, every year, every semester, every cycle. And then, has anybody else then got anything additional to that? Yeah.
We were just considering that maybe at the end of cycle.
Yeah.
Cycle.
Oh yeah, cycle. Sorry. Yeah, what's a cycle? Okay, a cycle would be a review cycle. So, say for example, your ministry says, you have done a peer review, and now you will have 5 years or 6 years. You're a very good program. I will give you permission to run for 6 years. That would be a cycle, you know. They would say, in 6 years' time, we're going to come back and we're going to see how good it is, you know, etc. Okay, and then we will close you. Okay.
What we were considering is look like every cycle or every year, as you can say that, but most probably at the end of the cycle, which we consider 4 years, for example, for BA program, and 2 years for MA program, etc. So this is also based on whether we make annual self-analysis and whether we consider the results. So most probably 2 and 4 years.
Yeah, good. Anyone else then? Yeah.
Yes, լրացում ունեմ։
I'm asking you. No.
I just wanted to add something that we think we should review academic programs when marketplace student demands are changed. And of course, if it is national or international criteria or standard, sometimes we have to review our academic programs because there are international or national standards.
Yeah, and listen, change. Okay, what I'm going to say there is, that's interesting, that's a good one. I mean, they're all good, they're all good. I'm not saying this is bad, this is good. It's all good. Yeah, but if student demands change, this is a question we will ask on a peer review every time. We will say to the students, you know, give us one example of how your program has changed as a result of what you have said. You know, you made a complaint about this module or that course description or whatever, or the assessment and feedback for this. You made a complaint. What did they do? Because did they listen? I talked to the rector and he said, very good. What happened? Nothing, etc. That's no good, okay? But if student demands change, now remember, the other thing is, this is education, unfortunately, is not a democracy, okay? Sometimes the student demands are student demands. Can we drink beer while we're working, you know, etc. Why don't we have 2-hour lectures every 3 days because I've got a job, etc. Like, sometimes the student demands are not realistic, okay? And we have to listen to them and say, you know, I don't think that's a good idea. But many times the students are making very, very honest, real observations, okay? Now, another one. Do you have another one for me? And this is going to be in Armenian. Yeah?
Հայաստանում Դուհական համակարգը խիստ տարբերում է միջին մասնակցական համակարգից։ Մենք կրթական ծրագրերը, չափորոշիչները ստանում ենք պետականորեն, մեզ սահմանում են մոդուլները, ծրագրերը, ամեն ինչը եւ մենք սկսում ենք աշխատել դրանց հետ։ Այսինքն դասախոսը ինքը ինքնուրույն սկզբից չի կազմում, ստանում ենք և սկսում ենք դրանց վերանայման արդեն պրոցեսը և այն ինչ որ պետք է մենք փոխում ենք աստիճանաբար մեր ուսումնական ցիկլի ընթացքում, այսինքն եթե այդ մասնագիտությունը 3 տարի հետո վերջացնում ենք, ուրեմն 3 տարի, եթե 4 տարի, 4 տարի որից հետո գնում է հաստատելուց հետո դա չի նշանակում, որ այդպես քարացած պիտի մնա։ Ինքն նորից ընթացքում հնարավորություն է տալիս փոփոխելու, բայց ավելի քիչ, ասենք թե որոշակի տոկոսային հարաբերությամբ, քան այն սկզբից էր։ Եթե հաստատվում է, մենք կարող ենք փոխել։
So that's a more regular kind of functional review.
Գործառույթային վերանայումներ, այսինքն այո, մենք սկսում ենք արդեն հաստատումից հետո, արդեն սկսում ենք ավելի, այսպես ասած, մեր մեթոդական առումով, որքանով ասենք թե դա արդեն տվյալ ժամանակի համար արդյունավետ է, սկսում ենք նաև վերանայել եւ ասում ենք որոշակի տոկոսային հարաբերության փոփոխություններ։
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Մենք էլ ենք ներկայացնում միջին մասնագիտական ոլորտը, մեզ մոտ երբեն վերանայում ծրագրերը, վերանայվում են աշխատաշուկայի պահանջներից, գործատոների, դիտողությունների և առաջարկությունների հիման վրա և արտադրություններում տեխնոլոգիական փոփոխությունների դեպքում, նոր տեխնոլոգիաների ներդրման դեպքում։ Ժամանակահատվածը երբ ենք վերանայում, մեզ մոտ մասնագիտական կրթությունը տևողությունը 2 կամ 3 տարի է, և պետական որակավորող հանձնաժողովը, և գործատուների ընդգրկված այդ հանձնաժողովը, առաջարկություններ և դիտողություններ անում տեղական կրթական ծրագրի արդյունավետության կամ շուկայի համապատասխանություն կամ համապատասխանության հիման վրա, և այդ առաջարկությունների հիման վրա կոնկրետ նշում են փոխեք որ ոլորտը, օրինակ, անձնակություններից անձեք վերանորոգումների, նոր տեխնոլոգիայի ներդրված
Absolutely, yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about who we will involve as well, you know. So let me just go through here again. Let's see, when might we review? So again, every year. That's, I mean, you know, definitely, you know, the year it's been a good year, a bad year. The programs are working and not working. Every semester, that's another time. Every cycle, every 5 years to move towards a validation, maybe. 4 years for a BA in Armenia, 2 years for an MA. And then if student demands change, if students make demands, etc., you know, that's cool. Let me just go through my list a little bit here now, okay? So again, oh my God, annually, every year, okay? Same again, okay? Every year. What can be accomplished, I'm asking, in an annual review, okay? What can be accomplished? Again, it's very appropriate that a program team, even in an Armenian context, would sit down after the year. The summer is coming, the students are gone, the assessments and exams are finished, the projects are in, etc. Some students passed, you know, very few students failed, etc. Why did the ones fail that failed, etc. It's good to do a review then. How did things work? What worked? What didn't work? Remember, the students said something to us about assessment. Oh, we've got to change that, or do we? Have we the resources to do it, etc. Okay, so every year is cool. Now, what Bloxham and Boyd, who kind of wrote a book on developing effective assessment in higher education, a practical guide, Bloxham and Boyd, Sue Bloxham. An ideal time to consider the assessment strategy of a program, so assessment, is when it is introduced, when it is new, or when it is to be revised. So this is kind of what they say, revalidation time, okay? If your program is new, you got to think about this stuff, you've got to review, okay? And also, again, when validation, revalidation, when you get approval for your program in the cycle, this is another crucial time. And actually, it's the big time, because usually, I know certainly I am being forced by my faculty, I will talk about it later, to change my program at the moment. We will first go to a committee and they will give us approval to do that or not do that. We will have to make an argument, a couple of pages long, about why we would do it, not do that. And then, after that, we will have 2 years to do our changes and to get it validated, okay? So this is a very, very big time. These annual reviews must also happen. As you said, it's a process of every day seeing how the program is working or not working. I have other suggestions. At the end of each course unit, maybe that the lecturer is responsible for, even in Armenia, you've got to say, how did that go? You know, did they understand it? Did they pass? Have I a good pass rate? Have I a bad fail rate? Why is that? So at the end of every course unit, and you might need help with this, if a couple of people are lecturing on the same course unit, we call them modules because we are modularized, it's a very clean system, but many of you are dealing with multiple courses, many, many courses. And we understand that. That's, you know, it's partly a tradition. It's the very same in Ireland. You know, we've changed it over time. You will change it over time, I think, as well. Okay. But at the end of each course unit, now here's another one for you. What about at the end of each lecture? A review at the end of each lecture. Okay. Have you heard this? Okay. A CAT. It's called a classroom assessment technique, okay? And that's why I was cutting up these pieces of paper, okay? At the end, this is a suggestion, at the end of each lecture, you go round and you hand these out and you say to the students, for example, what was the best thing about today's lecture? If there was a best thing, sometimes there isn't. Okay, the best thing is we are now going for lunch. Okay. Okay. The other crucial one, and this is a very good one, very useful, is what was the muddiest point? Okay. What was the thing that nobody understood? Can anyone suggest to me what the thing that nobody understood usually is? Can anyone make a suggestion?
What exactly will be assessed, for example?
Yeah, it could be. Do you know what the thing that most students don't understand about a lecture? It's the last point you make. It's that point that you say, we have 3 minutes left and I'll just do this very quickly. And they go through this, and all the students are in the canteen already, in their mind, and they don't understand anything that you say in the last 5 minutes. You're better to say, we have 5 minutes to go, you know, questions, or here's your piece of paper, whatever. Don't, lecturers say, I'm flying here, I am flying. They understand everything, which they don't, you know. And now I will add something more, and I will put little cherries on it, and some cream, etc., and decorate it, and they don't understand that at all. They're more concerned about how are we going to be assessed, you know. And of course, with students, if you say, has anyone any questions? No. Okay? This is a great way of getting the questions from them. I don't understand this. If 5 people in your lecture room say, I don't understand this, you can say, start the next class, you have done a review, and you can say, okay people, we did a little review, and 5 of you, I don't know who your names are, okay, I'm not blaming anyone, but the students have said, I don't understand this, okay, it's a very simple technique. Okay, now let's move on. Who might be responsible for the reviews of academic programs? Okay, we'll give it just, because you know how it works now, we'll give it less time this time, okay? So again, into your groups again, and who might be responsible? Now I'm talking about responsible, okay? Who might be responsible doing the work of the review?
Մենք կարծում ենք, որ սա կախված է ժամանակաշրջանից, օրինակ եթե դա տեղի ունենում տարեկան կտրվածքով, ապա գնահատումը կատարվում է ամբիոնի վարիչի կամ դասախոսի կողմից, վերանայում է, այսպես ասած։ Իսկ եթե դա տեղի ունենում ենթադրենք 4 տարվա կտրվածքով կամ մագիստրատուրայի դեպքում 2 տարվա կտրվածքով, ապա այս դեպքում մեր կարծիքով պետք է խումբը ընդլայնվի, այսինքն աշխատանքային խմբի մեջ պետք է ներառվեն ոչ միայն դասախոսը կամ ամբիոնի վարիչը, այլ նաև ուսանողներ, ինչպես նաև գործատու, որովհետև մենք վերանայում ենք ամբողջ կրթական ծրագիրը, չէ, որպեսզի կարողանանք բարելավել նաև այս ծրագիրը։
Cool. But again, I'm come back to even with this, you will involve students and employers, but who will do the work?
Hold the group, the members of the group.
So it's the.
For example, for the 4 years, yes, the work should be done by the student. Well, in the group can be one student, one employer, one lecturer. The lecturer that the taught the course, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's we'll put that down.
The whole members of the group should be responsible for the reviewing of the program.
Yeah. Sorry. Spelled right. Okay. A curriculum committee. Yeah. Okay. No. Any other answers? Who? Any other suggestions? Any other suggestions? Who might be responsible? Okay. Maybe one of you. Okay.
Մենք ասեցի, որ վերանայումը սկսում ենք այս ժամանակվանից, երբ որ արդեն գալիս է չափորոշիչները, որոնք փորձարկման են դրված լինում, որից հետո մենք ուրեմն անհատ փոփոխություններ անելով այդ ամբողջ փաթեթը ուղարկում ենք մասնագիտական կրթության զարգացման ազգային կենտրոն, որտեղից ստացել ենք մենք այդ չափորոշիչները։
Hold it there. But who's we?
Միջին մասնագիտականի կազմը, հա։
Yeah, so it's lecturers. Yes. Yeah.
Արդեն տվյալ դեպքում ասենք տվյալ ուսումնական հաստատությունը, մասնագիտական կարող է լինել, կարող է պարզապես անհատի, դասախոսը լինել ուղղակի, որտեղ կարող է մասնագիտական խումբ չունենա տվյալ ուսումնական հաստատությունը։
Yeah. Good. That's good. Yeah. Shut up.
Մի հավելում, ուրեմն մեր չափորոշիչները գրելուց արդեն մասնագիտական խումբ մասնակցում գրելու եւ գործատու նայեց։ Եվ նորից հետ ենք ուղարկում, եթե ինչ-որ խնդիրներ կա, վերանայում ենք։ Եվ նորից արդեն վերանայված վիճակում հետ է գալիս ուսումնական հաստատություն։
Yeah. So there's a kind of a process here that's it goes around like this a little bit. Yeah. Any other suggestions? Who might be responsible? I mean, is there anyone else? Yeah. Okay.
I think first of all we might start with students because
but listen, that's cool. But are they going to do this work? For God's sake, no way. Students again. Like you said earlier, students are there for 4 years. They're not paid. This is a lot of work. Review a program. No, send it to committee. Read. Involve students. Yes, I agree. We'll come to that. Yes.
I guess a relevant department in this case, it may be chair,
the faculty,
lecturers,
And of course, all internal and external stakeholders. But the main responsibility is for shareholder.
Again, I would sort of say cool, but again, who is responsible? They're not involved, okay? Stakeholders are involved. Robert asked a question earlier. He said, what is the responsibility of employers in these matters, in universities? And wait a sec, the responsibility of employers is to run their businesses and to make money. to run their businesses. Employers don't have a responsibility to education. That's one of the problems. Education is something over there. Sometimes it works for them, most times it doesn't. And they give out about gaps and unskilled graduates, etc., etc. It's part of the dialogue. Okay? But that's good. No, this is chair lecturers. Yeah. Now, the only thing here, let me go through again, and these are not my answers, this is just my, the Irish perspective. Programme team and lecturers. In Ireland, the first responsibility is the programme team. Again, we have a big autonomy, it's a load of work for us, it's just part of the job. But it's an unusual circumstance. Somebody said to us yesterday, or to me, at coffee break, I said, well, we do self-accreditations. We are all responsible for our QA, etc., etc. And she said, oh, we should do that in Armenia. And I said, whoa, think about that. It's a big, big change. There are good points, there are not so good points. Okay? Self-accreditation is cool, a lot of work. Now, university, administration, okay, QA office, faculty management, definitely, I think, would be responsible for this. Now, you have certain things, for example, like curriculum committees. We sort of don't have that, okay? We have program validation committees that will kind of review our proposals to change. But we don't really have people that will check our work for us, okay? This is part of our system. If we make mistakes on our document, our self-evaluation, our program document, it's our mistake, and we have to pick up the pieces. Nobody in an office will tell us, you made a mistake there, and I changed it. They just won't do that. Louisa Militosian from Brusov, she read through my program document one time, and she said, David, she said, lots of your learning outcomes at module level are not written in active verbs. They're not written using Bloom's taxonomy. And I said, I know. But I said, I didn't write those. Other lecturers wrote them. What am I going to do? Oh, David is a big expert. But that's wrong, that's wrong, no, that's wrong. Now that lecturer does not own his course anymore. Now David has written his outcomes for him. His outcomes are not terrible, okay? If they were, I would have a word, okay? Somebody would, okay? But again, fundamentally, we don't have a lot of help doing this, okay? You have more help. Now, it might be as well that a ministry or a government or an agency might also have responsibility in these matters. It might be that they are involved from day one. In Ireland, not really, okay? If we are to do a review, the agency will tell us, by the way, you have a review, it's in 1 year, okay? This is the date, be ready, bye, okay? That's what they do, okay? And then coming up to the date, they will say to us, who do you want for external examiner? You need an international expert. Send us a list of names. We will send them a list of names. They will pick one of them and say, this is an appropriate expert, good CV. They will be on the panel. And they will organize flights and all this sort of stuff. And they will charge my institute for that, okay? Okay, so, it's a different system. Who else? Some of these actors, all of these actors. Again, it's up to you to decide, or it's up to Armenia to decide who is responsible. Is it the lecturers, the program team, the ministry, the agency? I think Ruben would definitely want the agency involved in this, etc. Again, it's a blended mix. Your agency, ANQA, works very differently to our agency. ANQA will provide you with a lot more assistance than our agency would. I'm not faulting our agency, it's just a different culture. Okay? So, now, this comes back to the other question. Stakeholders, who might be involved? Well, we're not even going to discuss this, okay? Because I think everyone knows who is going to be involved. We're not talking about this here. So who's going to be involved in this? Everyone knows these answers. Okay, who? Involved. Okay, so top of the list, who will be involved? We know lecturers. Cyrano says students. I would put them bottom. No, top of the list, students. Okay. Yeah, lecturers as well. I mean, we're assuming they're involved, you know. Now, and also, it's a good point. I'm not dismissing it at all. I think sometimes, if we go back to our responsible one here, okay, sometimes it's the main team who are involved in and are responsible. The people who are experienced, the people who are full-time, the people who are getting paid every day. But the poor part-time students, or somebody who comes in to do one course and all the rest of it is, they might not be responsible, but they may well be involved. You would like to think they are involved. So, especially part-timers. Okay? Anyone else then? Why would you involve them? Yes, employers. Yeah. Sorry, I put down S because it was stakeholders. Now, you know, again, we've had this a million times on review where we walk into a place and they don't know even what a stakeholder is. Okay? They think it's somebody in a restaurant who brings the meat out there. Say, the stakeholder, you steak, please. No, stakeholders, definitely employers, could be other people, ministry. In Russia, it might be the media, for example. They're stakeholders in what you do. They have very definite, it might be other organizations like parents' organizations, etc. You know, have you anything unusual in that sense, like, you know, that we wouldn't have? Because with us, it's generally students and stakeholders, okay? Who else? We would involve other people.
The graduate.
Lovely. Yes. Yeah. Big graduates. Very, very, very involved. Okay? Who else? Anyone else?
Maybe support staff?
Support staff, yes. I mean, do you know, that's a great idea because it's not something that we would ask. We tend to, you know, the support staff in our terms, you know, they just do what we ask them to do, you know, but that's yeah, you know, and again, yeah, they are stakeholders, yeah.
What I said because...
Yeah. Experts, that's a nice suggestion, yeah. I like it. I mean, these are all nice suggestions. I'm not saying this is a crap suggestion. No, everything is nice. Anyone else then? The list can go on and on. Again, let's see. The program team, definitely involved. Students. University admin. I had it actually. Stakeholders, partners, especially. Now, here we go. Just think of this. Of course, we all think stakeholders are employers. Okay. And there's a big dialogue, a debate. I just didn't want to get involved in the debate this morning, you know. I was, oh, not again, not all these same frigging answers and problems. You know, in Ireland, in my thing, I lecture in animation, okay? And, you know, animation is not just drawing stuff and all the rest of it. It's now a multidiscipline, okay? Animators are artistic, they are technical, they are conceptual, they are media actors, etc. They are actors even, etc. Actors with a pen, etc. Okay, but they have many, many talents. We have a big relationship with industry. In Ireland at the moment, we have some of the biggest animation studios in Europe, not by any accident. And they also are complaining to us, we have 400 seats in our studio. Why are you only making 40 graduates? They don't want to work in studio. They're too creative, you know. They're too clever, etc. These are the complaints we get. Or they're not ready for work, etc., etc. Now, industry employers are a stakeholder in what we do. But our philosophy is our primary, numero uno, first stakeholder is our students. That's the most important stakeholder. Industry, we're very important to us, and we're very interested to hear what they do, but we are not making people for industry. We are giving the opportunity to each and every one of our students to achieve his or her full potential, whatever that may be. We are not training for the jobs of today, even though a lot of our students will go straight into work and they will stay there. We fancy we are creating the industries of the future, okay? The industries of tomorrow, the new animation studios, the studios doing stuff that we can't even imagine and certainly never taught them. Again, if we can graduate them with the ability to learn, we will have done our job, okay? So that's my rant about industry. Now, we have a whole lot of strategies for dealing with industry, and we're very successful in doing that. But we can talk about that another time. Now, let's come back here. Stakeholder, partners, especially employers and industry. Aha, wait a second. Also, friends, okay, friends. Experts were mentioned here. And this is a great thing. Advisors. People who might have worked in the industry or education and are retired. These bring real expertise, and sometimes they're the last people you think of, okay? Our external examiners, every year our program and the results of our award year final students who are graduates or graduates will be reviewed by an external examiner. And the external examiner will write a report every year about your program, okay? This is really important information, really important data. Also, what did the review panel say 3 years ago when they validated your program? They made lots of commendations, but they also made some recommendations. Things that you should change, things that you should improve. Are you factoring in their views in your review? Be warned if you're not, because a review panel will often just look at the results of the previous review panel, like this, and they will say, whoa, they seem to have a problem here, I wonder if they fixed it, etc. And if you haven't fixed it, you're in trouble, big trouble, okay? So, now, let's crack on here. How might such a review be best conducted? What might it look like? I mean, am I going to? Yeah, let's go through. I'll go through this a little bit. Okay. What tools might we use? Okay, Ruben is big into tools. What tools might we use? Okay, and then this is the other thing I would say here. Remember, this is reflective practice. What the hell do I mean? Remember, you have to give yourself some time here to think. You can get suddenly really involved. Oh, we're doing a review, and we're doing this, and we've got to get students, and we get lecturers, etc., etc., and we can't see anything. You've got to take, especially on the big review, every cycle review, you have to, as lecturers, as a team, take time, a little bit of time. You're all very busy people, okay? And you've got to say, you know, how, just, are we achieving our outcomes? Are our students happy? Are they getting jobs if they want to get jobs, etc.? You know, it's big picture stuff, and you have to reflect on this, okay? So what tools might you use? Any suggestions? It's not a biggie. Tools?
Can we say, for example, survey conduction?
Yeah. Surveys. Yeah. And I would warn here as well, surveys are cool, but just watch how big they are, how long they take to do, how complicated they are, and who you're asking the questions, okay? Yeah, discussion is great, yeah.
Expert interviews.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else then? I mean, in truth, there are many, many tools you can use. You know, you can do data analytics on your program, on your assessments, stuff like this. I'll come to data in a minute. There are many, many tools. One thing I would say with focus groups are good. Surveys, come back to surveys. Surveys in Armenia, and it's not unique to Armenia. Surveys are, everybody does surveys, they're all fantastical, fabulous. Watch the data that you're gathering, because our national student survey, for example, in Ireland, they say it takes 20 minutes for the student to do it. It actually takes nearly 40 minutes. For 40 minutes at a computer screen for a student to answer this question, like the CIA, you know, everything. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Why? Etc. You know, these incredible questions. You know, all related to studentship, etc. You know, nobody in Ireland has the capability or the interest to handle that data. The data is being gathered every year, but nobody is analysing the data properly. So some research student, probably from Armenia, will go there in a few years' time and make a huge, huge discovery using the data we've gathered, because we're not doing it, okay? So we were, I think I heard one guy saying, I would prefer to send 3 questions to an employer rather than 10 questions, because I kind of know that 3 questions they might answer that, okay? They're busy people, they never have enough time, they don't really understand why they're answering these questions for a university, okay? So again, maybe 3 questions is enough, okay? Same with students. Why are you asking 10 questions? Maybe 3, you'll get more replies. You can ask 3 different questions. 3 different questions here, 3 different questions there, etc., etc. Possible, okay? What else then? Preparation. What preparations might you do in the run-up to a review? Okay? What preparation? Yeah, set functions, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's very, yeah. Yeah.
Setting criteria or standards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Timeline is a great one, you know. I wouldn't have thought of that. Yeah. What else then?
Distribution of resources.
Yeah. Yeah, methodology, lovely. And again, methodology often relates to the tools you use. It's an integrated thing. Let's have a look at what else we got here. Research. Don't forget to take the opportunity, especially on a big review, to see what the research is. Okay, it's very uncool to do it, books, etc. But you know, it's really good to find out if there is some resource, some up-to-date reading that you can, you know, again, I know in my program we have certain problems with assessment. Oh my God, surprise, surprise. So, you know, we are experienced assessors, but it's just not working at particular levels, especially where we come towards graduation. How do I fix that? You know, do Bloxham and Boyd know anything? You know, do Palloff and Pratt from America know anything that I might need to know? Literature, and then action research. This is where the research you do with your students on an ongoing basis, the reflections that students write for you about the module, the course, etc. Are you asking them questions? I remember years ago I did this in class. I actually didn't do it using paper, I did it using my VLE, Blackboard. And I just said to them, go up onto Blackboard and just type in a line about what you've missed today or whatever. And one of my students, a second year, she came to me and she said, I've been in this college 18 months and no lecturer has asked me a question yet. This is and she thanked me for asking her a question about her experience. You know, I was like, what? This is crazy, you know, but that's how it is. Okay, lecturers assume the students are happy, no questions, let's go. Okay, cool. Action research. Your students, your undergraduates even, are one of the most valuable resources you have. Ask them how they feel. What do they think about assessment? You know, if you have somebody with ASD or Asperger's in the group, ask them about your module descriptor. because they will tell you every mistake in it. You know, they don't even read it. They just say, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. It's like, wow, it's genius. If there's something that is not clear, they won't understand it immediately, and they will tell you directly. They're very honest people, okay? So action research. Are the students involved? Oh yeah, document as you go, not when you need. Don't do all of this work, research, in the run-up to the review. Do this 2 years before. Do this at the end of every module. Learn as you go, and write that stuff down, you know, okay? Students involved. And then stakeholders, partners, how are they involved? And your friends, external examiners, review panels. How are they involved? Again, you know a lot of the answers to these questions, okay? Now, again, in order to enhance students' assessment, again, it's the same stuff. What tools might we specifically use in order to enhance students' assessment, okay? So now we're talking about, this is not just about program development, okay? So tools, any ideas? It would really be very similar, wouldn't it, you know? You know, you know, again, you're going to be using some component of survey. You're going to be using your results, okay? Why are so many of your students passing, failing, doing well, not doing so well, etc., you know? And that's going to be data. How are you going to use that? Any other tools?
Maybe self-assessment about students.
Now, this is my baby. Like, again, I would say in an undergraduate program, if they're there for 3 years or 4 years or whatever, I would hope that by year 3, definitely, the students understand assessment. You know, they should understand it from day 1, but actually, really, by the end of year 2, the students should be understanding assessment. So let's see now. Now, self-assessment. Okay, let's come to this. This freaks people out completely. How can you allow students to assess their own work? Okay, well, students, the news is, students are assessing themselves always. Okay, always, and they have to accurately match their self-assessments that they do anyway with your assessment procedures, with your assessment criteria, with your grading system, etc. Why is an A an A? You know, why is a B plus not an A? Why is a C plus definitely not an A? Etc. etc. They need to understand this clearly. Again, it comes back to student-centered learning, okay? If they don't understand this, what's the point? Again, that's the same thing. So, how do you do self-assessment? I would advise do it low stakes, okay? What I mean is, there are ways you can do this. You can say, okay, I'm going to assess the exams or the papers or whatever. I will do that. The lecturers will assess. And we will allow the students to self-assess as well. If the grade matches, we can actually improve the grade a bit, etc. You know, you can say that, you know. Or you can just use the information and say, you know, your assessment was very accurate. It's very, very good technique. Generally speaking, if I do this, and I do this regularly, out of a group of 30, we'll say, 25, okay, so out of a group of 30, 25 undergrads, you know, BA students, will be accurate. Okay, they will match my grade very closely. Okay? 3 of them will be down, often way down. Sometimes they will be a B mark, but actually self-assess might be a C, okay? They think they're crap, okay? And this is more an issue of self-identity. they think, I know my daughter, she's a first-year undergraduate. She is a very high achiever, but she thinks that everything she does is rubbish. She thinks that everyone in the class is much better than her. It's absolutely a psychological problem, and we cannot find the switch to turn her off, you know. We just have to work through that. And then two of them, of course, two geniuses, they are actually C, but they think, oh, we are A. Okay, now they also have some psychological problem, I think. Okay, now we will discuss this with them. I mean, it might be a psychological problem, it might be an issue of self-identity, it might be just genuinely, they think their work is much better. It usually isn't, you know, usually isn't, okay? In group assessment, and I'll do this very quickly, this is my muddiest point and you'll just miss it. In group assessment, I also ask them, suggest a grade for yourself. Siranush, you grade yourself, okay? But also, you can suggest a grade for the people around you in your group, and you can tell how they worked, how they didn't work, etc. It's not like the Stasi, okay? It's not like I want loads of information about the bad things. No, but it's just an honest, professional reflection, and I will take that on board. What I find there is the person who is C and thinks they're A, everyone in the group will refer to them and say, you know, and often it's quite honest. It's like, you know, they weren't in a lot, you know. She has a lot of problems at home, etc. Now, that's fair enough. You know, they will protect them a little bit. They won't say, she is crap, you know, she does no work. Her work is rubbish, you know. They will rarely be cruel. And if they are cruel, you can say, well, that's not very professional. I'm not really going to take that information. I think I might have a word with her, though, about how she feels she's performing. So again, it's real information. It's definitely a tool, and it definitely should point towards enhancing assessment, okay? What else then? Preparation, again, it's the same again. It's review of literature, etc., etc. It's getting your data, getting all the results of your tools and your analyses, your surveys together. The research, again, action research involving your students here with the view to improving your assessment, okay? Involve the students, certainly, involve your friends and your externs, etc., etc. Now, the last point, and I will finish quickly. Why? This is one we didn't have on our list at the start. Why such a review? Especially in order to enhance students' assessment. Again, what are the objectives here? You know, yes, you will say, you know, I mean, the first objective is, what? I mean, you know, what let's just talk about these objectives. The objectives of review, okay? What is the point? Okay? So, any ideas?
Our colleagues mentioned quality assurance.
Yeah, quality assurance, I mean, that's a big, yeah, QA, quality assurance. But I mean, specifically, what does that mean, you know, as an objective? It's to, yeah, or to improve, yeah. Okay, improve LOs. I would suggest improve assessment, feedback, etc. Okay. Any other objectives?
Maybe enhancing the quality of student-centered learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
To have a good specialist in the field.
Yeah, so that's a nice one. So what you're talking about there was who was this? Who was this? Yeah, yeah.
To have a good specialist.
Good specialist.
In his own
Now,
field, yes.
that's a lovely one because that was one that kind of wasn't mentioned today.
Very
Okay.
important.
Do you know, it's what we call. graduate attributes. Okay? And this is closely linked to what we would call PLOs. Okay? Program learning outcomes. Okay? Now, in Ireland, or my faculty, graduate attributes and program learning outcomes are tied together. And I think when we were doing when I was doing some Temples of Line training here in Armenia, I think this was one of the new things, was that in my system, the program learning outcomes, on completion of this program, the graduate will be able to do this, know this, etc., etc., etc. Okay? These are graduate attributes. These are the big picture. Okay? If you want them to be leaders in their field, that goes down in your... They will be leaders in their field. Whatever. You have to be ambitious for your graduate attributes, but you have to be very clear with your program learning outcomes. Okay? On completion, on successful completion of the program, your graduate will be able to do this. Maybe 15 outcomes. These are the target, okay? And that is what your graduate attribute is going to be. And that is definitely one of the objectives of your review, I would suggest. There are other ones, okay? Here we go. I would suggest, what are the objectives? To make assessment fairer, okay, more valid and more reliable, okay? To check that the assessment is doing these, it must be fair, valid and reliable, okay? And again, some of you will be mega familiar with this as a concept, other people not so familiar. But again, this is one of the crucial things. Fair, valid and reliable assessment, okay? Other things, to make assessment more effective for students, improve assess and feedback. For example, how long, if we establish a timeline, how long does it take you to get feedback to your students? You know, how effective is that? Is it 2 weeks? Is there a rule? Is it 6 months? Maybe too late? Because remember, early feedback means that the students can learn from your recommendations, your observations, from the feedback, and then they can take that learning into the next course or module or whatever. If they're getting very late feedback or feedback at the end of the year, they sort of don't really learn much at all, okay? They are just getting through. In medical we had a situation where the electronic exams were sort of instant feedback. And it was like, you know, the students were, they were out of the exam with their results even before they knew what hit them. And it was very difficult for them to interface. What else? To make assessment more efficient. Again, this is the one I was talking about. This is a function, how many lecturers are going to be doing this assessment? Is it just you, do you have a team assessing? Even if you have a team, that sounds cool, but how often can they get together to meet and talk about the assessment, etc.? Is it efficient? To achieve a better lecturer understanding of assessment, we all are learning all the time. Are you and your program team fully up to speed with the potentials of assessment in its full spectrum? To achieve assessment consistency. This is one that came up in my faculty. We had a new head of faculty last year, okay? And one of the things he pointed out to us immediately, he says, I feel some programs are assessing very well and other programs in the faculty are not assessing so well. And he says, can we do some work to get them kind of the same? Can we take some best practice from one program and without dictating, can we get some consistency? Can we use the same templates for feedback, etc., etc.? You know, you can have autonomy, and it's like everybody is free to do it every way they like, but sometimes freedom is not so good. It's not really helpful, okay? And then here's one. To achieve improved or enhanced graduate attributes. Again, are the PLOs being best achieved? And do your program learning outcomes need revision, okay? Especially at cycle level. Program learning outcomes are not something you change every semester. They're not something you change. They're established kind of by law. You've agreed. You can't really change them willy-nilly. Certainly if we change one or two of our program learning outcomes, we have to go to a committee, okay? They've got to go, not so sure about this, you know, not really in the contract, etc., okay? So again, when might such a review happen? You can see again, annually, at validation time, every day, at the end of every module. There are different times for review to happen. It's an ongoing, as you all know, an ongoing, never-ending cycle of learning, you know, as you know and you're doing already, you know. Some of you may not have thought of reviewing after every module, but you're probably doing it anyway, okay? Some of you may not have thought about reviewing using a CAT at the end of every lecture, or maybe every second lecture. But again, it is part of the data that you can start collecting. You don't need to tell anybody about it. You can share it with the students, have a laugh, etc., etc. But again, sometimes it can be big learning. Okay? And remember, again, any review should be integrated and constructively aligned. It's holistic. It's a big picture. It's all the things together at once. That's why it's good to do some data collection, some action research, some reflection as you're going along through the process of a cycle. Don't leave it all to the end. It's the work of every day. To improve learning, teaching and assessment is the work of every day. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to hand around these, and feel free in English, because I don't read Armenian, okay?
I would like to ask you to come back to the slide, why such a review for the enhancement. Yes, I think 3 slides, yes, no.
Is it this one?
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
But go for the, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
To achieve a better lecture understanding of assessment.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, this is one of the ideas we have been thinking about for the last period of time. I'm representing the Quality Assurance Center of the Yerevan State Institute of Theatre and Cinematography.
Yeah, yeah.
My name is Arvin Sagan, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is an idea which bothers us, because the lecture understanding of assessment, as we found out in our institute, that this is a challenge, because most of our lecturers, as we can imagine, do not really understand the criteria for which they grade the students. Why do I give them 97, 96, 95, 80, 85? And mostly they do argue between, the professors argue. Because
well, you know, I have to say, we argue about grading as well, okay? Not a lot, but we do argue. Usually, I would say out of 30 grades we might give out, we argue about 4 of them, you know, if we are in a panel, okay? And then what I would say in answer to your question is, you know, really lecture understanding, and thanks for pointing it out. It's some people, some lecturers are far more interested in this than others, okay? Some of them really, oh God, do we have to do assessment, etc., etc. You know, they like lecturing, they like the performance, but they don't like grading, you know? It's not their bag. But having said that, everyone needs to work on their understanding, and it's a work that takes a long time. We have, in my institute, we have been doing it for what, 12 or 13 years, more than that, you know? using these new methods, etc. I would say, I could still point out certain lecturers in my faculty who don't want to know about this stuff. You know, they don't want to do staff training and development. They don't want to read books on assessment. They just do the lecturing. You know, they're specialists. You know, in their area. You know, that's it. They do the transfer of knowledge. They don't really care what the students learn. You know, they are old-fashioned people. You know, but we've got to somehow navigate the students around those people. You know, survive the students through their programs and get a big picture learning for them. You know, but it's a work that never goes on, and I think it's a problem everywhere. You know, and it is a problem that we have the same as you have. You know, so all I would suggest is really at first instance is try at a program level or a faculty level to do kind of regular, even just discussion groups about it. If somebody has, like you might be very progressive, you come to these events, etc., you might get some good ideas, and suggest that you share those. You know, if you only get 2 or 3 people, it's probably 2 or 3 people who really want to learn more. You know, next time you come to these events, there are 3 people, etc. But you've got to do it that way, I would suggest. You know, Christoph, have you any suggestion on how to get lecturers more up to speed?
No.
Christoph is an expert from Switzerland.
No, an expert.
Yeah.
The one thing that helps to change that demographic situation, you always have a third that are steel helmet like living in the past, and then you have a third early adopters, and then you have the big mass that helps you working. Is if you, for example, think about publishing the results.
I'm sorry, we can't.
Yeah, sorry. Where is the microphone here? Yeah. So okay, so yeah.
I start again. First of all, I think that the problem you just described, you find wherever you go. So it's not something Armenian, it's just part of being in the higher education business. And you always will have to find a solution that fits your own context. Some scenarios that are being discussed in other countries are, for example, but that is a strong one, to publish the results of the evaluations of teachers.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself up on the notice board and you have consistent bad evaluations from students, you start to move.
Yeah.
But this needs certain legal basis, it's not possible.
Oh, it does, yeah. In Ireland, for example, now, because of union regulations, get this, we don't do evaluations of lecturers at all. The union says, oh no, we're not allowing that, because there are issues there. You know.
We do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good system. What I would say is that I would love a system personally, which you have and which other territories, Lithuania has it, etc., where lecturers are reviewed regularly and they are rewarded for teaching excellence, for research and for work outside. You know, we don't have that. You know, we are not rewarded in Ireland for teaching excellence, which is like not fair. You know. I mean, okay, crap teachers like me would not get paid anymore. We're like, okay. Yeah.
So that would be another way to go for honor good performance in teaching and maybe involve the students in an annual prize that's being awarded at the whatever festivities you're teaching have.
Good.
And the third one I was going to mention was
any other last question? Yeah. So any other last question? Again, don't worry about the questions. Again, I say this to my students, there are no stupid questions, okay, at all. There are no stupid questions. I'm here tomorrow again, I'm not going shopping, they won't let me do that, okay? So I am here tomorrow the whole day. And again, if you have a question or something, or you woke up tonight, what did he mean by that, etc., etc., come to me tomorrow morning, okay, and say, look, what did you mean by that? I don't understand, you know. Okay? And if people have muddiest points, they can write them down, or what's the best point, etc., etc., and come to me if you have a big problem, okay? We're going to leave it at that, okay? So again, ask me questions. I'm here. You know I can be approached. I'm not a devil or anything like that, okay? So we'll go back to the other room. And again, thank you for so many of you to come. And you know, I didn't expect that. And thank you for your attention, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.